let's get to the Jerry stuff, though. And I'm going to go to something that's 10 months old first, because as we were doing our off-day show yesterday, no, that's 23 years old, Stephen. We're going to go to the Salvi video. Do you have that?
I will have that in just a second.
Okay, all right. We'll go to that first. This is about 10 months old. The Salvi Media Corp is doing like a series on Chicago CEOs, and Jerry was a part of it. And I thought one of the questions that they asked him was very interesting. It was the biggest challenges that he faces as an owner. And what I want to talk about is the quotes that he made yesterday. We were doing a show, so we really weren't able to talk about the clip and the quote when it happened. And shout out to Blake Schuster, who made me aware of this panel. But what I learned yesterday, and it feels like not a lot of people know about Jerry Reinsdorf, is that, and I guess White Sox fans are hip to it because there's a fucking sell the team Jerry sign on 33rd and Shields or whatever that is. Shout out to Bennett Carroll for that. But Jerry Reinsdorf is running a business, plain and simple. He's not running his favorite team. He's not trying to win a championship for you. He is running a business. And let's hear about the biggest challenge about running a business in Chicago.
In the beginning, I thought it was very important to be always open and honest, always answer every question that was ever asked of you. I now understand that you can't do that, that the things that we do, the decisions that we make cannot be totally explained to the media or to the public. We just have to make our decisions and hope to God that they work out.
So the White Sox are run on hope right there, that we hope to God that they work out. And we've been frustrated with this. The rebuild's been going on for 6 years. And we've talked about accountability. Herb has talked about the word accountability, time in and time out. I thought Vinny's eyes were going to roll out of his head if he heard Herb say the word accountability again. But Jerry's saying the things we do cannot be explained to the media or the public. Why? And what took place for him to come to that challenge, that to overcome the media and the public's obstacle? Do you know what happened, Stephen?
I don't. Please tell me.
It's very simple. His very minor investment back in the 80s, the White Sox and the Bulls, are now billion-dollar investments. Now, whenever he cashes out, he will be a billionaire. I mean, he's already is, but like, I mean, he will have that ability to cash out, right? He doesn't have to sell White Sox fans anymore. You have the 2005 World Series championship. You are now ingratiated to this team. You are now a part of this culture because that's how sports work. Jerry Reinsdorf has a monopoly over White Sox fans. Jerry Reinsdorf is 1/30th of a monopoly of baseball. Mm-hmm. There is one place really in the world. I mean, obviously, you know, there are leagues in Japan and overseas, the Mexican Winter League, et cetera, et cetera. There are other leagues. But when you think of baseball, you think of Major League Baseball, right? That is the pinnacle league. That's why Shohei Ohtani's here and not, you know, still in Japan. Jerry Reinsdorf has a share of a monopoly. And he, again, does not have to make you more interested in the White Sox. We have the diehard program is made for people that he is selling to, right? And what he just saw, the team went 81-81. They had 2 million people in attendance. Do you think Jerry Reinsdorf, as a business owner, is looking at the team and saying, "Oh, we're failing. We're not succeeding"?
No.
Exactly. Let's go to the panel. This is from the Milliken Institute, led by Rachel Nichols, and that's the voice that you'll first hear. Let's go to this because this is the clip from yesterday that people talked about, and Jerry kind of goes into it here.
Jerry, I just wanted to follow up on what I was saying before about the idea of, you know, the fans may decide they're happy with one level of success one season, not so happy the next season. You've recently dealt with the Chicago Bulls where you had a team that seemed, okay, is it smarter for the team to make a decision where you're going to strategize for the draft? Is it smarter for the team to make a decision to strategize for the playoffs just from the nature of where you finish in the standings? How do you make those choices from a business head when you also have your sports team owner's heart and you know the community's heart as well?
Well, one thing you need to understand is that sports is neither a sport nor a business. It's somewhere in between. And it's different than any other sport, any other business. for example, your competitors are your partners. You earn probably over half of your income in conjunction with your competitors. At the same time, you are at the mercy of your dumbest competitor. Particularly in baseball. If you have, somebody decides he wants to spend $42 million on a second baseman who hit 202, and one comes along for you, you're going to probably have to spend the same money. I mean, so the whole thing is irrational. My approach has been I never really cared about making any money. I just want to win. Now that's not what I wanted to do in business. And in fact, I better make money in business if I want to win in sports. It's just so different. The first week I was in sports, somebody said to me, "If you listen to the fans, you'll soon be sitting with the fans." And so you can't allow your decisions to be guided by emotion or what you think people want. At the same time, you have to consider what the fans are thinking, or they're not going to buy your tickets. So it's unbelievably different than the real world. It really is. And I've just resolved all the inconsistencies by trying to win as often as I can, knowing you can't. It's a game of failure. Think about baseball. If somebody gets 3 hits every 10 times up, he's failed 70% of the time. Sports is a business of failure. Only one team is going to win every year. But the fact that you finish second or third or fourth, it doesn't mean you had a bad year. And I think the important thing to fans is while they want you to win championships, they want to know that when you get down to the last month of the season, you still have a shot. You're still playing meaningful games. If you can do that consistently, you'll make your fans happy.
So the end is a part that I want to talk about. I think it's very funny. Jerry Reinsdorf owns a team that has plastered all over its stadium pride, passion, and tradition. I feel that Jerry Reinsdorf runs his business off appeasement, belittling, and pretending. As long as we are competitive, fans will show up. As long as they think we have a chance in September, fans will show up. If you stop showing up, things will change. Jerry Reinsdorf said at some point as well, along my whole research, that he puts the people who know what they're doing in the right spots, and he doesn't middle, right? And he did meddle. And he did meddle with the Tony La Russa thing. So we know that's a lie, first off. But then second of all, that's why Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams have been here for so long. It's why John Paxson and Gar Forman were here for so long with the Chicago Bulls. It's not because of results. It's not because of production. Through the time of Kenny Williams being in place, Jerry Reinsdorf's investment in the White Sox has gone up to $1 billion investment. He's made his money. He is making money. He is profitable. His business is succeeding. Doesn't matter about the banners that he's hanging up. It doesn't matter about the actual wins, right? You'll be sitting with them. If you start thinking like them, you'll be sitting with them, is what he used in there. We're not important. The fans aren't important. Again, what is important is our butts in those seats and the money going to him. That is what is important. It's a business. I understand that. But when does he compete? He talks about very loving rarely. Winning.
Yeah.
He talks about loving winning, but this team doesn't compete. The Yankees have a true tradition of winning. And he said, I've resolved all the inconsistencies by trying to win as often as I can, knowing you can't. That's fair. I think that's fair. Giannis just had a great quote recently.
Yeah, that's exactly what it made me think of.
It's not failure, it's steps to success. There's always steps to it. Michael Jordan, okay, Jerry Reinsdorf knows, played 15 years, won 6 championships. The other 9 years were a failure. That's what you're telling me? Jerry just said, you go up to the plate 10 times, you get a hit 3 times, great hitter, 300. Mm-hmm. However, the White Sox aren't hitting 300. The White Sox aren't succeeding 30% of the time. The Yankees nearly are. The Yankees have gone to 33% of the World Series that have been played. There's been 118 World Series. The Yankees have been in 40. The White Sox have been in 5. The Yankees have made it to the playoffs 58 out of 118 seasons where a World Series has been played. The White Sox have made it to 11 of 18. The White Sox can't even get to the playoffs 30% of the time. It's pathetic. They're not competing.
No, not at all.
They're not competing. They're trying to be competitive. They're not a competing, serious baseball team. They are trying to make money and close shop. And hey, if we make the postseason, there's an extra little bit of cash. But when you're watching the White Sox, who owns most of NBC Sports Chicago?
He does.
Jerry Reinsdorf. All of your money goes to him. So when you support the White Sox, you're supporting Jerry Reinsdorf. If you don't want to support his vanity project, stop supporting the White Sox.
Yeah, I like that you bring up the Yankees, too. I mean, that's got to be, I haven't looked up the numbers, it's got to be the most valued franchise in baseball, I would assume.
Yes.
And they win a lot. Maybe there's a correlation there. If you really want to be a good businessman and a good owner, maybe you should just win some more damn games and invest in your team a little bit more than you have.
But that's the thing, is when has he invested in his team? When has he made a statement as an owner, as the White Sox owner? 1996. Yeah, I wasn't alive. All right, let's go all the way in the Wayback Machine, okay? This is from Ronald Blum from the AP. This is too early, Stephen, on November 19th. And this is the AP. This is the Associated Press. This is trying to be journalism, big J journalism at its finest. After opposing a labor agreement, he said he wouldn't hold down salaries enough. Jerry Reinsdorf agreed to a deal that apparently will make Albert Bell baseball's highest paid player. Quote, it's perfectly fiscally responsible for us to give him the money because we can afford to give him this money, Reinsdorf said yesterday after agreeing to a contract for the slugger said to be worth $52.5 million for 5 years. We have an obligation to our fans to try to win. We're trying to win. Doesn't mean I have to like the system. Because again, the whole reason why he's doing this in 1996 is because there was a strike in 1994 that Jerry Reinsdorf led. And then I want to go to SI. December 2nd, Jerry Callahan wrote this. The signing took place 2 weeks after an owners' meeting, which Reinsdorf was the driving force behind killing a labor agreement because, as he told Slafter, the Bell deal was announced, quote, we need some meaningful salary restraint and sharing of revenues so everyone has a chance to compete. Bell's annual salary is $2.5 million more than that of the second highest paid player in the game, Ken Griffey Jr. of the Seattle Mariners, who he signed for a 4-year, $34 million contract less than a year ago. Reinsdorf didn't disrupt the pay scale in Major League Baseball. He destroyed it. Together, Bell and the White Sox first baseman Frank Thomas will earn approximately $18 million next season, which exceeds the payroll of 4 small market teams, among them acting commissioner and then later real commissioner Bud Selig's Milwaukee Brewers. As owner of the Chicago Bulls, Reinsdorf also signed Michael Jordan to a 1-year, $30 million contract last summer, meaning Reinsdorf is to the structure salary of players of what Ricky Lake is to the literacy rate of among teens. So again, this is a dated reference. I left the Ricky Lake thing in just to point out that it's dated. Jerry Reinsdorf won in 1996. That is what he took away, that he won. He was able to go to all the owners that held him back, that held him down, that kept years of salaries and revenue out by saying, fuck you, I have money. Albert Bell's contract in today's money is over $100 million. There's 3 teams that have not signed a $100 million player. The Royals, the A's, and the White Sox. Why? Jerry Reinsdorf, he made a very small investment and turned into $1 billion investment. Michael Jordan was a very small investment. He wasn't even a part of the team when Jerry bought it. Then the Bulls get lucky to draft him, right? Yeah. Small investment. And then he later invests to keep Michael Jordan around because Michael Jordan, best player in NBA history, made the NBA a global sport, turned Jerry Reinsdorf's Bulls into a $4 billion institution. Derrick Rose, same thing. Drafted, hometown kid, so easy to promote, and we're paying him dirt. Tim Anderson's extension, let's sign him when we're cheap. Eloy Jimenez, let's sign him when we're cheap. Luis Robert, let's sign him when they're cheap. Not when they're good. Not when they're great. You're not going to go to $300 million for Manny Machado because Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't think it's great, doesn't think it's going to help his view from the outside. The only time he wanted to make a statement for the fans by going out and signing a big player was to fuck other owners over.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about winning. He doesn't care about you. He cares about his business and being the best business owner he can be by making money.
I want to go back to that quote just because in the quote it said he disrupted the pay scale, and then now he aborts it. So he disrupts the pay scale. He pays a player more than that player should be being paid. And then everyone else gets competitive with it, and he stops paying players. You mentioned only 3 teams haven't signed $100 million players.
It's less about not playing players. It's because his players aren't good. he has not had an organization structure that builds great players. If he had a great player, if he had a superstar, if Tim Anderson was one of the best shortstops in Major League Baseball, he'd pay him.
Yeah, his
But
players,
Tim Anderson can't stay on the field. Tim Anderson isn't a great shortstop. He isn't hitting over 20 home runs in a season. He isn't playing 162 games like the Northside Dansby Swanson is, right? Like he has not proven his worth to be over $100 million player. If he was, he would have been that player.
They don't develop players well, but then if you don't do that and you don't go out and acquire players in free agency, what are you doing? You're stuck as a middling at best franchise.
Right, but again, he could finish fourth. He doesn't care about
that.
He doesn't care about the middle. He cares about the bottom line. That's the point of this. Cares about the bottom line. We'll go to the predictions just because I know the game's coming up. All right, we got 10 minutes until the game. No rush.
We're good.
Let's go to the starting lineups. And thanks everyone for hanging out with us. Jerry's not a great owner, but he's a businessman. That's the thing. He's not trying to own. He's not trying to lead. He's not trying to be the best sports team. He is trying to promote Major League Baseball. He's trying to make Major League Baseball as much money as possible, so then the White Sox are worth as much money as possible so he can sell his business. This is his cash cow. This is his golden goose, and you better give me a honk for that. Thank you.